Hey there! The cherry tree blooms from March to April, so it is time for a cherry blossom theme. I'm going to be using this washi tape set from Notebook Therapy, which has 4 sheets of stickers and 10 washi tapes. Most of them have this beautiful gold foil. I will also be using a couple from this stationery pal washi tape set. I just thought that the colors went really well with this cherry blossom theme. I really felt like drawing with inks, so I went overboard and decided to paint by hand thousands of cherry blossoms. So while I do that, I will tell you a little bit about this beautiful tree that captivates millions around the world, even for the short period that it takes it to bloom. The Japanese cherry tree and Sakura are a common species in East Asia like China, Korea, and of course Japan. They generally refer to ornamental cherry trees, which are different from the cherry trees that produce fruit for eating. The blossom is considered the national flower of Japan. Hanami, which I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, is the centuries-old practice of drinking under a blooming sakura or ume, which is a prune tree. The custom is said to have started during the Nara period, from 710 until 794, when it was prune blossoms that people admire in the beginning, but by the Heian period, from 794 to 1185, cherry blossoms had come to attract more attention, and Hanami was synonymous with Sakura. The custom was originally limited to the elite of the imperial court, but soon spread to samurai society and by the Edo period to the common people as well. Under the sakura trees, people had lunch and drank sake in cheerful feasts. In general, sakura cherry blossoms represent the impermanent nature of life. Not only is the beauty of the flowers short and sweet, the trees themselves are also short-lived. Most live only 30 to 40 years. And any given tree may only be in full bloom for about just a week. Cherry blossom season usually lasts about a month from the earliest bloomers, but an individual tree may only be in bloom for a week or two depending on the weather. Now I'm going to talk about some interesting facts that you might not know. While many of those trees make fruit, they were bred for flowers, not the fruit. So some do produce small cherries during the summer, but they are too sour for people to eat. Just the birds like them. Another interesting fact is that flowering cherries actually do not belong in a traditional Japanese garden. Conifers, maples, azaleas, and mosses are all much more common in traditional Japanese gardens, which are created to showcase year-round seasonal interest. In Japan, flowering cherry trees with their short blooming period symbolize the ephemeral. They are more likely to be planted in parks, where Hanami is pretty much celebrated as a drunken picnic. A small parenthesis here, because the quote that I chose I think goes really well with the theme. What feels like the end is often the beginning. I thought that this was an ever so fitting thing to put here because although cherry blossoms are quite temporary, they will always come back. They are expected every year, and through the pollination they will go on growing forever and ever. So all in all, I feel that there are no ends or no happy endings. Happiness is always the process. So yeah, they are fleeting in nature, but they will always be there. I think when we learn to appreciate that happiness is the journey, that's when we are not looking for happy endings or these moments of happiness. We need to learn to live happy. So anyway, back to my research. For Hanami in Japan, office workers make their interns go out early in the morning with a blanket to stake out a spot under the cherry trees. Then later, everyone shows up with the food and sake. Still, compared with cherry festivals in the US, they are rather solemn events where everyone contemplates the impermanence of life. Another interesting fact is that the blossoms change colors. Many are dark pink when in bud, lighter pink when they first blossom, and then eventually pale pink or white. There are some interesting variations on this though. The blossoms of Ukon, for instance, progress from greenish yellow to white and then pink. Interestingly, in Japan, the most popular cherry blossom is the Yoshino, which has 5 white petals and is treasured for its delicate, simple form. This is actually the leading lady in all the stationery items, all the decorative things where this flower is used, and it's the one that I am painting right here. I think that this particular blossom is beautiful. I have so much stationery with it. I even have some self-care products that are cherry blossom scented, and it's just such an exquisite color and fragrance that it definitely is one of my most favorite things. And I think that honoring it for my March theme was a very good idea that I had, because I am really loving how the theme is coming out. The color palette that I chose, which I finally got to use my Crayola Colors of the World here, along with, of course, my metallic watercolor. I think all in all, the theme is coming out pretty beautiful. And unlike the last Sakura theme that I made back in 2020, this one feels a lot more artistic and a lot more aesthetic. And of course, thanks to those washi tapes, I can make my beautiful Dutch door tabs, which are always practical, and they look so beautiful. You will see in a minute when I flip all the pages how they come together in this beautiful array of sakura flowers and soft pinks and peaches. So anyway, I am almost done here. This is just my monthly log, for which I use that metallic watercolor and my dipping pen to make the month. And I am just adding the titles with the markers. And this is the second time that I use this layout with a smaller calendar, and I have to admit that I love it a lot more than the one that I used back in January. Here is the final spread for this setup. I am using my grid sticky notes from Stationery Pal. As usual, I will link everything below, but this is such a simple product that makes me so happy. It just adds this delicate touch that requires no effort at all. And then I am using the silicone stamps to add the month here. I don't have any ink pads, so I usually just grab a marker and paint over it, and it works. I'm adding some Sakura stickers from that Notebook Therapy set, and of course some metallic little petals that are floating all around. If you have not watched my previous setups, well, I am using the daily log, so there are no more weeklies. I just add this space for my meal prep, and I made a mistake there with the days, so I just covered that with some washi and corrected it with a permanent marker. Finally, I am just adding more washi tape to complete my tabs, and I am about to flip the page so that you can appreciate how beautiful this turned out. The number 3 with all of the washi tapes peeking through, and the blue, I think the blue just adds a beautiful accent that goes really well with the pink, just like the sakura tree against the blue sky. So yeah, I really enjoyed how this month turned out. I hope you did too, and let me know in the comments below if you like the cherry blossom as much as I do, or which one is your favorite flower. Subscribe if you would like to see more journaling content. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much for all your comments, and as usual, thank you so much for watching.